The NBA is about to bust right open because what just leaked could shatter everything we thought we knew about the league. Word is out that behind the highlights, the championships, and the legacies, there's been a dark, secret society pulling strings, deciding who rises, who falls, and who gets erased in the league. And at the center of it all is one man, Diddy.
I'm going to take your souls. We have the power. We decide what's hot. If we don't go, nobody goes. If we don't support, nobody supports. We control what's cool.
Oh, and even that is just a tiny part of all of this, because by the end of this video, you're going to see how some of your favorite NBA players actually got to where they are today. And I promise you, these are names you would never expect. See, this isn't your typical Diddy story. I mean, by now even kids in some random town in India have heard of him, because Sean Diddy Combs wasn't just a music mogul. He was everywhere. Fashion, media, and yeah, his weird parties. But behind all that shine was a much darker world that barely anyone knew about. And I mean barely. A dark underworld where decisions about people, careers, and reputations are made by him. And if you think that stops at music, think again. Because his reach extended deep into the NBA. You've probably heard stories about players being weirdly close to him, spotted courtside with him, laughing and joking. But there's a web of influence and control that goes beyond friendship. His parties were highly orchestrated events that he called freak-offs. But hey, we'll dive into that in much more detail later in this video. For now, the main question is this. If Diddy's underworld organization controlled music, fashion, media, and nightlife, why wouldn't it extend into the NBA? Think about it. Basketball is a world of image, reputation, and access. One viral photo or one scandal, and suddenly your whole narrative shifts. And hey, there's also the part where people have speculated that he plays for the other team, if you catch my drift. Which brings me to this question. How come all of Diddy's endeavors are industries where there's a lot of men and a lot of masculinity? I mean, hip-hop and the NBA. Plus, check this out.
What's up, Six God? Drake, what up, baby? Yeah, we coming, baby.
And have you seen how weird he is around dudes?
Like this, Daddy.
Yeah, where you put my bag?
Daddy, I like when you
It's
scrambling and scraping for
no,
shit.
No, I got
I
notes
like
and
that.
shit.
I remember I got an invite from you once. This is true. You used to have these crazy parties, and one invite was it self-destructed. After it was you talking, and so you gave us the information of where the party was, and then it said this message was self-destruct.
I'm very high concept.
He's sending letters that self-destruct to other men. Yeah, I don't know about you, but that was already enough for me to conclude. And trust me, the deeper we go, the weirder it gets. You won't believe the NBA players caught in this web, the parties, the leaks, and yes, the facts that prove how deep this went. Take LeBron James, for example. You've probably seen that clip floating around this one.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
That's funny on the surface, right? Yeah. But dig deeper and the pattern becomes obvious. I mean, what even is this? Imagine you see a picture tomorrow of Jordan or Kobe or Magic Johnson wearing a maid's dress. See how impossible that sounds? Yeah. Oh, and if after all this you think it's just speculation, there's leaked footage showing him at one of Diddy's parties. Some NBA fans even pointed out a pattern that shows the hand placement whenever Diddy and LeBron were in public together. Take a look at this. Yeah, and look at this. Now, I'm not trying to tell you what to believe, but come on, man. It's right there for you to see. These guys aren't even hiding it anymore. By the way, do you know that to get into organizations like this, you have to perform a humiliation ritual where the people in control use public embarrassment as a way to control people? Like, once someone has been compromised, that's when you start seeing them with the weird feminine outfits and just generally doing embarrassing stuff, almost like they're puppets with their strings being pulled. But this isn't just about rumors or visuals, because it's not just LeBron. Wade and his wife Gabrielle Union didn't just attend Diddy's parties. They took it further and even hosted all-white parties that were modeled after his freak-offs. In fact, there's footage of Diddy and a child reading their names off a guest list in 2022.
Peter Wilson.
Gabrielle Union. Dwayne Wade.
Add to that the testimony of insiders like Richard Von Houtman, WD's former business partner, who described multiple weekly parties that Wade hosted with excessive amounts of alcohol and the white powder. If you know, you know. Now, who else hosts secret parties that have exactly those same items? Yeah, the diddler himself. Of course, when these details came out, Wade sued Von Man for Leal, which brings us to wonder, why was Wade trying to shut him up? What exactly was he trying to stop the public from hearing? Now, here's another fact. Over 3 decades, Diddy reportedly attended 33 NBA games, mostly in Miami, Los Angeles, New York, and New Jersey. And somehow, these 33 games all happen on nights when a select group of NBA players were on the court. These players were LeBron James, Wade, Lamar Odom, Gilbert Arenas, Rajon Rondo, and Derek Fisher. But that's not all. Some analysts have conducted deep research and thoroughly gone over game logs and stats and pointed out that in games where Diddy was reportedly present, these players' performances were significantly better. LeBron, for instance, across 6 games Diddy attended, he averaged 32, 7 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists compared to 27, 1 points, 7, 5 rebounds, and 7 for assists when Diddy wasn't on the court watching him. It's almost like he was trying to impress someone. You know that energy that comes when you want to show off for a crush, a mentor, or someone in power.
Exactly.
Remember that monster game where LeBron scored 52 points against the Knicks in 2009? Guess who was right there? Sitting courtside, and some of his fans will clearly come out and say, it's a coincidence.
Yeah, sure.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The deeper you dig, the more you see how things stop feeling like coincidence, and the pattern becomes a lot more obvious between the NBA players Diddy supported, their connection to his organization, and how that helped their standing in the NBA. For this video, we will call this group of players the Diddlers. Remember how we talked about Wade doing his version of Diddy's freak-offs and even getting invited? Well, it wasn't just the parties and meetings. It became obvious in the numbers. In 7 games that Diddy attended, Wade's performance compared to his regular career averages looked like this. First off, his points differential is plus 2.3, meaning that on average, Wade scored 2.53 more points per game in games Diddy attended than his regular numbers. He even had a lot more rebounds, assists, turnovers, blocks, and steals in those 7 games that Diddy attended. Now, statistically speaking, a plus 2.53 point differential might not look like a career night, but when it's consistent across 7 games tied to one man, well, you've got to wonder, was Wade trying to impress Diddy? I mean, maybe basketball wasn't the only ball he handled those nights. But let's move to someone whose connection with Diddy ran deeper.
Paul Pierce.
Before we even look at the numbers for Pierce, we got to understand that Paul Pierce was one of the most respected players of his generation, a 10-time All-Star, a Finals MVP, and had a Hall of Fame career. But after retirement, he moved into broadcasting, landing a gig as an NBA analyst with ESPN on shows like The Jump and NBA Countdown in 2017. This was a man who, to some extent, had a very strong legacy as a player. Then, all of a sudden, April 2021 came, and it came with the kind of off-court moment that became one of the biggest viral NBA stories of the year. Pierce was hosting what appeared to be a private party. And rather than just keep it in the moment, he went on Instagram Live. And in the video, he's clearly seen partying with substances you shouldn't be putting out in public. I mean, just see for yourself.
Come on, man. What you do? What's the part? Hanukkah, you should be here.
But that was not even the weird part. The part that got people's attention the most were the adult entertainers and exotic dancers who were present at the party. Remember when Wade modeled his party exactly like Diddy's freak-offs?
Yeah.
Do you now see the pattern? And this wasn't just another random scandal because that video went viral fast. And ESPN, which is owned by Disney and was bound by strict morality clauses in their contracts, decided that this was enough to sever ties with him. And just a few days after the video spread online, Paul Pierce was fired. What did I say about the humiliation rituals earlier? Yeah, exactly. But Pierce himself has tried to defend himself on podcasts and interviews, saying things like, he got fired for having some entertainment and asking what he did wrong, as if what we saw was just a random night of fun. He even went on and said that he didn't realize Instagram Lives could be recorded and reposted. Yeah, right. But here's where the fans started to piece the puzzle together. Pierce has been publicly loyal to Diddy for years. They brought out tweets where he called Diddy his boy. And then, almost like there was a secret fallout between them. Just 4 days after Diddy's house was raided by the FBI early this year, Pierce suddenly flipped and started throwing shade at Diddy and aligning himself publicly with Diddy's longtime enemy, Suge Knight. Now, for context, Suge Knight was Tupac's label boss and right-hand man. And he is the same man who is allegedly linked to the death of Biggie, one of Diddy's most famous former artists and Tupac's greatest enemy and rival. But guess what? Recent updates from 50 Cent's newly released documentary on Diddy shows that Diddy was involved in the death of Biggie. So, why would he switch camps that quickly? If that doesn't give you a glimpse into Diddy's dark world of alliances, reputations, and hidden associations controlling the NBA, I honestly don't know what does. But here's where it gets wild with the numbers on the court. In the 5 playoff games where Diddy was apparently watching Pierce, he put up almost 3 extra points per game than his usual playoff numbers. He grabbed more rebounds and dished out 1.24 more assists per game. Like, he was legit running the offense like a general out there. And the defense numbers are kind of interesting, too. His steals were down a tiny bit. His blocks dipped a little, but his turnovers went up like 0.68. It's like he was pushing himself harder, trying stuff he normally wouldn't, taking some risks, and just trying to impress you-know-who. So, we just saw one side of the coin, but as you've probably guessed, there's a darker side to all this because not every NBA player under Diddy's influence had it so easy. Some players didn't follow the script. And let's just say things didn't go well for them. We'll call them the did. Take Derek Fisher, for example. You remember him, right?
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting. Fisher was spotted at one of Diddy's after-parties back in 2003. Cut from clip to clip. And right after that party, his career just started climbing till he hit his peak. It was around that period that he started averaging 10.5 points, 3.6 assists, and 1.13 steals per game, and was even ranked 13th in the NBA in three-point percentage. Fast forward to the 2003 playoffs, and he was putting up 12.8 points per game. In fact, things were so good for him that he was instrumental to the Lakers' back-to-back titles in 2009 and 2010. But after the 2010 championship, things started getting weird. His playing time started getting reduced. His numbers started dipping. And then bam! All of a sudden, the Lakers traded him. And this isn't just a coincidence because around the same time, he was apparently having issues with Kim Porter, Diddy's partner back then. So, you mean to tell me that the guy who helped the Lakers win back-to-back titles was suddenly traded and eventually started struggling in the other teams right around the time he was having issues with Diddy's partner and right around when Diddy started showing up to his games? And that was all just random. Now, hold that thought because there's also the case of Raj and Rondo, and this one's even wilder. On June 15th, 2010, Diddy attended a Celtics vs. Lakers game where Rondo was playing. Less than 3 weeks later, a leaked video showed Rondo leaving a 4th of July party hosted by Diddy at Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City. And get this was 2010. Smartphones were already a thing, but there were no photos or social media posts that show he was at the party. Just a sneaky clip someone recorded. What could have been so private about the party that we can't even find one single photo? Especially considering that right after that party, 2010 also became Rondo's peak year. He made the all-defensive first team, was considered for MVP, had the highest assists in the league, 11.7 per game, made the All-NBA third team, and even carried the Celtics deep into the playoffs. But here's where it gets dark. Fast forward to January 2024. Rondo was arrested on a charge of possession of illegal firearms. This was just 2 months after Diddy's house was raided. By February, Rondo was forced into retirement. And in September, he pleaded guilty the same month Diddy was arrested. That timeline is super suspicious. So if you've been paying attention, you can see the pattern. When these players played along, everything seemed fine, but the second they stepped out of line or didn't follow the script, they got taken out of the picture. And just when you thought you'd seen the whole picture, you find out that Diddy's control and involvement in the NBA wasn't just on the court. There are NBA players and officials whose connection to him goes way beyond games and stats. I'm talking about legal issues, business ventures, and backroom deals. All of it tied to the same network. Back in January 2007, Gilbert Arenas, who at the time was already one of the most electric scorers in the league, decided he needed to level up so he could get bigger contracts, bigger deals, and the support of the powers behind decisions in the NBA. So, what did he do? He paid Diddy, yes, Diddy, to host his 25th birthday party. Arenas has openly said he spent around $200,000 just to get Diddy's name on the event. And overall, the party reportedly cost upwards of $1 million to $2 million when you include private flights, club buyouts, celebrity guests, and over-the-top production. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but that wasn't a random event. That was his ticket into the organization. He wanted to boost his NBA career. So, he staged the biggest party in NBA history as a publicity stunt. And guess what?
It worked.
The result of that party was that Arenas was able to beat Vince Carter in the All-Star fan voting that season and secure a starting spot in the 2007 NBA All-Star Game. And that All-Star status then gave him major leverage in renegotiating his Adidas deal and turned it from just another athlete signing to a $40 million deal. That's to show how much control Diddy had. Oh, and Arenas was also arrested this year on charges relating to an illegal poker ring that was connected to an Israeli organized crime group.
Former NBA star Gilbert Arenas has been arrested and is now facing federal charges for allegedly running an illegal gambling ring out of his San Fernando Valley home.
And it's not even just the players. Diddy has tried and has been trying to get his claws on the business side of the NBA as well. Okay, so first off, Diddy straight up wanted to own an NBA team in 2003, and he didn't sneak this one under the radar. He publicly said he wanted to buy the New York Knicks because he thought the team was kind of falling apart and needed new blood. He even went on national radio talking about putting himself in the game, like actually running the team and turning it around. Did it happen?
Nah.
The Knicks weren't selling, and Diddy didn't have enough control at that time to force them to sell. Then you got Croc Vodka. In 2013, the NBA officially partnered with his brand for a multi-year marketing deal. And this wasn't just slapping a logo on some ads. The campaign was called the Toast of the NBA and put Croc right at the center of NBA lifestyle content, All-Star Weekend activations, playoff promos, all of that. Basically, Diddy's brand was at every event the NBA hosted. And don't even sleep on the All-Star weekends. For years, his brands, Ciroc, Shah Jahan, De Leon Tequila, and Revolt TV were everywhere during All-Star Week, long before networks were even really promoting league sponsorships. But if we want to make this darker, let's talk about 1991. He was 22 and still building his name. So, he co-promoted a so-called charity basketball game at City College of New York. But to get this, they purposely gave entry to more people than the venue could take. And it ended in a stampede that killed 9 people and injured 29. The lawsuits followed, and he paid a $750,000 settlement.
They could find no way out. And he said, Diddy said, that's when he became famous.
But if you don't understand who Diddy actually was from the start, then you won't get how he ended up with the kind of power and influence he did. Because way before the incident in 1991, he grew up poor in Harlem and Mount Vernon, New York. And from the jump, he was always overambitious, and that landed him an internship at Uptown Records where he was hired as a producer. In 1993, after getting fired by Uptown, he did something a lot of aspiring music executives only dream about. He founded his own label, Bad Boy Records. The same Bad Boy Records responsible for signing the Biggie. And if you were a big 90s hip-hop fan, you know how that whole situation went with Tupac and Suge Knight. Oh, by the way, this was Diddy and Biggie in an interview.
Multi-billion-dollar industry.
Does that weirdness and hand placement seem familiar? Yeah, That was the exact hand placement he and LeBron used. But here's where it started getting weirder and darker. After music, Diddy didn't just stop. He kept layering empires on top of one another. He opened Shah Jahan, Sayak Vodka, and Revolt TV. And every time he moved into a new industry, his reach grew, meaning more access and more control and, yeah, more liberty to act on his wild impulses. And that brings us to the freakoffs and how he got the NBA involved. One of the biggest bombshells came from Cassie Ventura, his ex-partner. In May 2025, she testified for 4 days straight in the trial about the freakoffs. According to her testimony, Diddy would hire male escorts to travel to wherever they were, and she would be expected to have intercourse with them while Diddy watched and, in some cases, even directed it. That's how wild this was. She described how close to 10 large bottles of baby oil would be heated and applied repeatedly during a session. And Cassie's account wasn't the only one. The government also called a woman referred to as Jane, who dated Combs from 2021 until his 2024 arrest. She testified that she initially agreed to participate in freakoffs to please him, but later felt obligated to keep doing them after he began paying her rent. Here's how you know Diddy had this twisted connection to the NBA for a long time. Jane testified that they sometimes gave each other nicknames of NBA legends during these freakoffs. She said Diddy called himself Michael Jordan, she called herself Kobe Bryant, and the male escort was called Shaquille O'Neal. She narrated how this was such a huge fantasy for Diddy because these three players, unlike LeBron, Wade, and the others, couldn't be controlled by Diddy's influence. So using their names was some weird fantasy for him. And for the longest, he got away with everything until September 2024 when federal agents arrested him. And on the 3rd of October, 2025, the judge sentenced him to 50 months in prison, a $500,000 fine, and supervised release. So basically, for all the crimes and allegations that were thrown at him, he got just 4 years in jail. And honestly, that sentence was way too lenient. But again, let's not forget, we are talking about Diddy here. Only God knows if that sentence was influenced by him, because the judge gave his reasons and said his hands were tied, and that he could only sentence based on what the jury convicted. But come on, we all know there is a larger pattern at play here. But this video wasn't just about Diddy. It was about how much the NBA has allowed itself get controlled and manipulated in such a way. The NBA wasn't always like this. There was a time when basketball didn't need validation from Hollywood. This was the era of players like Bird, Magic, and MJ, where we didn't need celebrities from other industries because we adored our superstar players enough to see them as our own celebrities. But somewhere along the way, the NBA started getting close to that dark world. And that's why people like Diddy could gain so much access and control. So when you look back at everything we have talked about today, the question isn't whether this dark world and the organization controlling it existed. The question is how long everyone pretended not to see it.